Welcome to Humans of Business podcast, the podcast where we uncover the human side of successful businesses. Here, we speak with business leaders about the human traits that fuel success and how embracing who we are can shape our personal and professional growth. Every business starts with a human, so let's learn from real humans, one story at a time. My name is Yuri. I help people and brands shine through communities and personal connections. And my guest is Christine Vallaure, a founder of Moon Learning IO, a UX, UI, and Figma learning platform where design meets code, an international public speaker, the author of The Solo, a practical guide to building and growing digital products as a company of one, and a recovering perfectionist with German head and Spanish heart. So, welcome, Christine.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello.
Thank you so much for being the first guest for this
The
podcast.
first time.
I really admire you so much as a human, as a business owner, and I would love to learn everything I can from you. So let's start with the first question. Tell me one thing about you that I can't find on your LinkedIn profile.
Jesus, you're starting big already, right? One thing about me I can't find on my LinkedIn profile. That so yeah, you mentioned the perfectionist part, but actually my file and my work, there's one part that's really, really tidy, and then there's another part where I'm really messy. Like for example, my table, I'm really glad it's not in the picture because it's really messy.
You know how when people are shooting videos and there are some even memes that there is a clean way as the camera goes,
Yeah, the clean
and then
zoom
like
out.
is a mess around.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
like,
little bit like this. I do have this notion because I want to sort of pull my desk a little bit because you can see like starting and we're doing this. So off we go. So now it's better.
do you ever clean your desk?
I do, but I because family members get annoyed by my desk, so then I clean it. But yeah, it's very funny. I have it's my work is like it's really tidy and color coded and everything, and then suddenly on my desk like, everything explodes. But I think it's quite healthy, you know. Otherwise, it gets just too much one way. It's also not good.
Tell me a little about the business you're building at the moment.
So the business I'm building, like the part that I also really like, is that it has different strains actually. So the idea is like my main, how it all started is Moon Learning. So that is pre-recorded videos. So you can just like buy a membership and then you can watch them whatever skill level you're at to improve your design in Figma. And then I have the book I wrote, which is the solo, because that came from the way that I was building that I noticed I don't want to hire anyone. I want to stay a company of one. And I thought there was great power. And there was also great power in using that new technology and automations and all the AI tools we're having. Because I think we're very much focusing always with digital products on, you know, the exit, the funding. It's like one story you're told. And I think it's a great time because it's sort of opening up right now. So you can still go that way, but you can go a lot of ways, or a lot of companies work with very small teams, or like there's a lot of possibilities. So I'm really interested in that. And I'm actually building a third one I didn't tell you
Oh,
about.
okay.
So okay, it's the first time I'm talking about it. So it's because I always really want to build like a proper product because now it's all courses and it's all around knowledge, which is great, which is I think what comes naturally when I enjoy. But I really want to build a real like an app and really sort of
Mm.
also dig into the programming more. And so I'm building a little app that I am in my free time. I'm obsessed with. I always houses. Like I always look wherever I go. I always look at houses and property to sell. It's not like I own a lot of property, but I love looking at it and imagining these old houses and how you renovate it. And it's as I
Mm.
said, it's not like I do that. But it's just a little thing, and people always find it quite funny that I always have all these ads coming in for houses. And so making a platform, and I want to train the AI to look for things how I like looking at them, how I scoop them. And
Mm.
then it would bring out houses for, it's going to be called pretty cheap houses. And so it's below a certain price, I don't know, 200K, 400K, whatever. Sort of this dream of renovating your affordable home. So it's a platform where you pull in all of the same taste houses, and you can just like run through it and find your little dream project to renovate.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
sounds exciting, and
Yeah.
I don't know where you have all the time, but we'll go to this
We'll
later. And
go
I'm
to
curious,
that.
what what house, like where is this house you would renovate first?
Oh, I mean, I think it's always a thing I play in my head. So in my head, it would be something in the countryside, something with a lot of encanto, they say in Spanish, like a charm, no? But this is obviously it's the dream project in your head, and it's the nightmare project in real life because nothing works, your budget goes completely crazy. But it's something I'd like to do or build a house or and also being involved in the crafting and stuff. But that's just sort of a dream thing. In a realistic in my life, I like living in the city and I like being in the city and but I don't know, I do like stuff like gardening and things like that. I like it.
By the way, did you see a movie Encanto?
I did I do I don't remember it. I don't sure. I think I put my kids in front of the television and then just did something else while they watched it. So
I feel like because it's just my favorite movie about community building because that's exactly who is the main character is like literally a community builder, and I even have a whole article about that. But it's really beautiful movie. But when you told the word
I'll
Encanto,
check that out.
when you told the word Encanto, I was like, oh, I guess I picture this house already in my mind because I saw it. I saw it pretty much the same way, and yeah, it's interesting. What is the first step that you've already done or you plan to do to start this third business?
So yeah, it's a bit of an unexpected step, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone because what I do, or actually I do actually do in the book. When I did it with the book like this as well, and whenever I have an idea, I make a landing page. So that's in process, and I literally just do a sign up form, and I say this is an idea I have. I visualize it a bit, so I'm going to do like a really quick sort of an idea in Figma of what this page would look like, what I think, why I would like it. So I did the same with the book, being like, hey, I'd like to write this guide, and this is what I think I'm going to put in there. What do you think? And put a sign up field. And then people usually that like that sort of stuff, they sign up or they send me emails and they say, hey, can you do this and that topic? Because I can't find it anywhere. And then I just go from there. And whenever I have a little bit of time, I just start building and digging in. And yeah, that's usually how I start. I think it's this social pressure once you put it out there. It's like when you told your friends about it, and they're sort of like, "So how's it going? How's the book going?" And you're like, "Oh, it doesn't exist yet, but it will. It will." And then at some point, these things come to life. I also really it's a bit like my hobby. I really like playing with these things. There's so many great new tools out there. And so I want to try also out different tools, how I can get into coding and because I whole backend thing, I'm not like working with APIs and stuff is nothing I do frequently. So I think it's going to be great to learn about that.
And once again, it's a solo business. You are doing it by
Yeah,
yourself.
it's going to be a
Okay.
solo business.
How do you deal with what people will think about me?
Um, So this was a really big part while I mean, I started all of this when I was, I think, 37 or something like that. So really late. And the first part of my life, so I was like, I'm gonna die soon. No, I'm not. First part of my life as an old person. I was constantly, that was my probably more than my job. I was worried about what people would think and if the design is good enough. And I think at some point I just started and I started making the stuff I liked and I put it out there. But none of the people I knew would be because I was more working with graphic designers at the time. And so the Figma stuff, a lot of these things that I put out there, nobody I knew was going to read it. I also didn't send it to people I knew or I didn't. So it was just random people on the internet I didn't know that looked at that and they liked it. And then I was like, ah. And then, so I think for a long time, my friends and people around me that I worked with, they didn't even know what I was doing. And so just by the time it was finished, and then suddenly, so I got in touch with Figma and conferences. And then it was like when I started showing stuff. And then I felt, and I also put that in the book because I think it's very important, this confidence. And there is a big difference between being confident about your work and being arrogant about your work because there's a lot of errors in my work. There's a lot of stuff that needs revision, and I'm aware of that. And it's just how it is with everyone's work. But I think the confidence comes from just doing it over and over again. And then it's like you have a proof of concept because some stuff goes wrong and then you correct it. And then a lot of stuff goes well, and then you do more of that. And then I think at some point, the confidence is nothing you're born with. I think it's something that if you constantly do something and you constantly improve, and then you get nice feedback and people like it, then it's like yeah, that must be quite all right because otherwise people wouldn't pay for it. And so this sort of stopped me from worrying too much. And
Hmm.
I was nervous about the book because it was a new thing. So there is always 2, 3 nights where you don't sleep so well, and you're like, "Well, it's completely ridiculous. What am I gonna do?" And but then I always think, well, it's also I work in an industry. It's like it's not open heart surgery. Like nobody's going to die. The worst thing that happens is someone says, "I think this is stupid," and you say, "Yeah, I'm sorry." And if everybody says it's stupid, I'm like, then maybe I'm just not going to offer it anymore. So I think it's just not taking yourself so seriously.
I feel like it's when you talked about the sleepless nights, it sounds like one of the nights when you sent out a book to the list
Yeah.
of previous subscribers before putting it out. And I was like, oh my God, Christine is sharing her book. No way, it's impossible. And I'm like clicking and then, oh, sorry, I did it
Oh, when I did the wrong,
accidentally.
maybe I have
Yeah,
to elaborate on that. I was yeah, I was working at the background in some automations, and I accidentally, rather than I had like a test automation, and rather than connecting the test automation, I connected everybody that already subscribed to the mailing list, and I send them a free copy of the book. And yeah, also a good lesson. Do not do tweaks at 1 o'clock at night. It's not a good moment to tweak things. And then I sent it to, I think it was 300 people or something at the pre-launch thingy. So it wasn't too many, but it was also too many to send stupid stuff to. And then I sent it to everyone. And then I changed the link that it says, I'm really sorry. But I put it in the end. I rewrote the book. I put a chapter about it, like in the
yeah.
book, because it's just happened. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you know Dan Moll. He works a lot with design systems, and so I follow him, and he does really great work. And he just put the other day on LinkedIn. He said, "I just sent out a newsletter twice, spelling my own name wrong." And I was like, I love it. It just happens to me all the time. And it just happens, there, especially if you work on your own, there is no copywriter, there's no tech team. And then people are also, sometimes they like those little mistakes more than when everything is perfect. So
How do you push through moments of self-doubt?
I was going to say, I don't have so much self-doubt. There is something wrong with
What
it.
are you talking about?
I don't
I
know.
don't even know what it
I
means.
don't even know what it is. No, I mean, I do obviously have self-doubt. I'm very much always looking at the finances and is that going well and all of that. But there is obviously, but I think it's just a part of it that that you just also improving, because if everything is just going perfectly, then it's also you don't doubt stuff and things, yeah, I mean things go wrong, and maybe I was lucky I didn't have something very personal going wrong, which happens to people. But I'm just thinking to giving you a straight answer. I think just keep going and just try to improve it. And I also just try to be humble about it and honest about it. And so I try to not be like, this is the greatest course ever and it's going to change your life and you're going to get this job and I guarantee and this. I don't do that. I usually just go, this is what I made. And I really like it this way because I think it explains a problem I had. Usually I always start with a concept, like for example, in Figma, like Figma and layouting and UI design and layouting in CSS is something I always struggled with. So I just do a research and I say, look, this is what I discovered and this is how I think I could help you understand this better because I struggled with it. But I don't say it's the perfect solution. And I always have like sort of open feedback. And in that way, I'm also, yeah, I think by not trying to oversell it, not creating too much clickbait, you're missing out on some sales, but you just have a more relaxed day. And but it's my way how I think it works. And it's also the sort of people that enjoy my courses. It's what they're after. And there's definitely a different side of courses. And they're also fine, and they also have their crowd and their vibe.
Did you read the book Give and Take by Adam Grant?
No, but I'm very happy to take some of your books advice.
I'm just asking because what you are telling me, it remind me like the way the giver are doing something. Because if you are a taker, like you are like, oh, I have the best course, I like go buy it, like you like it's the opportunity of your life. If you want to buy it, you won't miss it. But at the end of the day, like the idea is that if you are doing it like more in a given way, more in this natural way, more like of talking to people, giving feedback, etc., at the end of the day, you get even more than takers because you build real connections through the way that you are building your business, through the way you're going through your life. And at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, okay, it's not that bad. It maybe even good. And you told a little bit about financials, about going through planning, etc. So how do you define success beyond financial metrics?
That is a tricky one for me because I think I define success a lot with financials, which I think is also good because I see a lot of women creating amazing products and always underselling and not charging. So I think it's also a good thing to be like, I want that amount of money and I want to live well of what I do. But I think it's also a bit of a challenge for me to be like, some stuff is not it also takes time. There's a momentum, and I always notice when I create something that I truly like for example, the book. I don't think the book is gonna be my main source of income. It's more like sort of a nice side thing, but it's something that I felt really strongly about. It also takes off in that moment when you flip that, it takes off the pressure because you write a little more what you want in there rather than for sales. And so it's a lot of the time when I have something that I think, oh, I would have really liked that. And a lot of the time it's also just for me because in the book I researched a lot of things that I wanted to do. And for example, for this new project with the housing platform, that was something that I started researching the tools and different things. And so I also learned a lot there. So usually that is a success when I have something where I look at it and I'm like, oh, this is something I learned from. And I mean, I got lovely feedback from the book. People write me really lovely emails and saying that they're starting to build and that they like that it's like sort of a more quiet way of building and not this like it's me and I go to these things and the funding and I know this guy and that guy. That it's a little more like it's just me and I just gonna make stuff. But still, I still think it's very important to have the courage of saying, and I do want to live off that and I do want to earn from that. I think there's nothing shameful about this, which I see a lot, especially with women. I see a lot that is like sort of, yeah, but it's not really worth anything. So yeah, it is. Put all your time in
It
it.
is. It is. It is. And it's interesting, but I'll be one more person to give you a feedback on the book because it's just amazing. And you,
Thank you.
like, by reading it, I started building my digital products. I already have one playbook and four more to go. And, I totally get what you're talking when you're creating this. You are even learning more and you are going through sorting your knowledge, and especially when you are sharing it with other people, I totally believe that it also goes even better to your mind and you better understand through it. So like there is a lot of inspiration inside. So definitely if someone didn't hear about Christine's books, the solo.io, go take it right away.
Thank
You'll have so
you.
many ideas what to do. So yeah, I like it's just my personal feelings. Like no advertisement, no advertisement at all. Just personal feedback. And I'm curious, what kind of a friend are you?
Oh, well, you would probably need to ask my friends.
How do you think?
What I think of amazing, amazing. No, I have some very, very close friends, but just a handful. I think most people have it that way. And with them, I'm talking all the time, literally. But they're all of them, I think none works in the same industry. And so for me, it's also really healthy. They do something completely different. And so we have very different topics. And I don't know, just being stupid together, but also have like a lot of like deep talk and then I also have a big circle of friends that I just sort of hang out and have a good time. And it's also a reason I really love living in Spain. It's very social, and you go out, you can be like for 5 hours, and you sort of talk about. In the beginning, I didn't understand it. I was like, we talked about nothing. I was always saying we had spent the whole afternoon we talked about nothing, and now I'm like, oh, now I get it. Like because you do have your friends, but you're the closer ones. But when you go out with a big group, it's just really nice. You just have a good time, you have a laugh, you sit in the sun, you have a beer. And I just really also like that sort of friendship where things are light and things are fun and you just enjoy the day. And so, yeah, I think there's two sides to friendships that I really enjoy.
What it took for you to switch from this moment, oh, we didn't really talk about anything, like where is the agenda, to the moment when you started enjoying this kind of conversation?
A lot of stuff. I mean, I always think when you live in a different culture, and I mean, Germany and Spain is not so radical, even, it's like in Europe, it's not complete culture shock. Um, I think it's when you fully immerse, when you speak the language, when you it's like little things in the humor. It's like it's just sort of letting go a bit, and I think it just takes time. It's not like you go and you're like, I'm gonna just immerse fully. It's like you just gotta be there, huh? And then after a while, you have to let go, I think, of judgment because I think it's a natural thing that we also hold on to the way we grew up, the values we have. So I mean, in Germany, I would say it's always a bit like you have a conversation and it's more one to one or smaller groups, and it's always more like, what's the topic? What's the agenda? And that was just what I was used to. And it's also the little social games you understand to make friends. You make friends, and then I talk about in my little bubble, I talk about this, and this is my opinion. And so for me, it was really healthy to switch that and also be like, ooh, if I'm very opinionated in the sort of the bubble where I lived in Berlin, that was a good thing. I got credit for that. But if I'm very opinionated and just a big happy crowd, I'm a bit like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you being mean about people?
Relax,
Just be a
relax.
bit friendly. Just let them be. Just let them.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, I think letting them be and just soaking it in for me, I really liked it. I am enjoying it a lot.
When you meet a new person, how do you know that you clicked?
Um, Really just the feeling. And that is also something I have changed a lot over the when I was younger, when I went like to a conference or to meeting or to whatever. I was very much going in there being like, I have to show them that I'm worth, of their time and being here and they have to like me. And now, I mean, all of us want to be liked, no, in a group. It's not like you go in, but it's in a different way. I usually just go in and I don't know, you just let it happen and then you feel who feels good and who doesn't and with whom you strike a conversation. And just think it comes very naturally, these things. And I also think again it's about the judgment of when sometimes you talk to people and you really want to click because they do something, where it would be great for your work or I don't know, there's something about them you admire, and it just doesn't work. I also think it's very important to not walk out and be like, oh, they're stupid. Or like it's just very much about it just didn't click, or maybe not today. And I think yeah, when these things happen very much naturally. And it's also like if you're feeling fine, it happens more than if you're feeling stressed and anxious and
It's interesting. I noticed that there were some people that we didn't click initially, but and they looked like, they're this grumpy people. They don't want to talk to anyone. They're not helpful. Like they're not social, etc. But then, like the more we got to know each other, and when I, had some moments of need something or when I needed some help, they were the first to stand out. And I was like, how it's even possible? There are so many social people who are always happy, who are always like this, they like to have this conversation, etc. But then when you really need help, there are these people who you think that you never clicked. And then I was like, how does it work? And also, you reminded me when you told about quality of people, that you want to meet everyone and be it. It reminded me of the quote from The Greatest Showman. And it was like the main character, and his wife told him that you don't really have to be liked by everyone. It's enough to be liked by just a few good people. And I was like, God damn it. Right. You don't have, and that's why I asked you about this clicking things, because I know that at least I had this approach that I wanted to connect with everyone I meet,
yeah.
and I saw that if we didn't connect, I did something wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But then at some point you're like, oh no, it's just, or maybe they had a stressful day, or maybe it just doesn't. I mean, in the end, it's chemistry. It's a bit like when you fall in love with someone. No,
Yeah,
it's like if
yeah,
someone
exactly.
someone could show you a picture and a CV, and you'd be like, that's the perfect person for me. And then you meet them, you're like, no. And then you go somewhere, you're like, oh, something. It's, I mean, I think it's the same chemistry with all of us. And I think it's also amazing. And you always discover something. And I think it's also a lot the moment, is what you say. There is like, sometimes I've been with people, around people for years. And then at some point you're sitting next to them at the dinner party, and then you start talking and you're like, that
Ah.
person, me and them with that and that subject in common. And then it works. I hope it doesn't work the other way around, that you think like this person's great, you sit next to them and you're like, Jesus, how could I hang out with them for so long?
I'm definitely not promoting this, but I also noticed that a few glasses of wine sometimes also help
They
to,
do.
to
Unfortunately,
open
they
up
do help a little bit, especially if you're in a foreign
just,
language.
just a little bit. Okay. So, what makes you happy?
Well, it makes me happy when my day to day is flowing. And I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was saying like your day to day is like sounds like super boring, but I'm like I really like it. I do lots of I wake up, I hang with my kids, I do lots of sports, and then I work, and then I hang with my kids again, and with my partner, and with my friends in between, and that's really just what makes me very happy. Like not having to wait for that fantastic holiday or that big party. Like I just really like, and I also make a lot of space in the day. Like I rarely sacrifice my sport is like my me time. I really, really love sports. And I think there's a lot the mind and the body and sports. I think it's a really important part that you find the sort of sport or movement that you enjoy. Because I think it's your time for yourself and also respect to yourself. And it doesn't mean you're going to be, it's not about the physical aspect about being all fit. It's just about, even if you just say I go for a walk once in a while or go for a swim, I think it's just very important. So I never let anyone take that away from me. It's in my calendar and it's going to happen. And yeah, and the other thing is also like with friends, sometimes I'm like, oh, I have to cancel that lunch because I could just squeeze in another hour of work. But whenever I do that, I don't know, it's just like, it's not like I'm going, it's not like I'm going for lunch and lunching and running all day long. But I put these days, and then usually if I work an hour less, the rest is much more efficient for how I am. So, and that makes me really happy when I had a full day and it wasn't just a day of working or just a day of one sort of thing.
What would you do if you didn't need to work for a living?
I would probably do exactly the same, which is amazing. And it wasn't always like that. And this is why I'm working the way I'm working and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And again, that's right for me, for someone else that might look completely different. Um, but as I said, I'm a real, real big believer in that if you have the privilege to structure your work and your everyday life, that is a huge privilege that very few people on this planet have. So if you have that and you can do that, I
Mm.
mean, stuff is pretty. I mean, stuff still happens in life. Still got to sort out a lot of random things that the universe throws at you. But you're pretty good then. So for me, is I would probably do the same. I probably look a little less, obviously, on the financial side, but I
Mm.
sometimes think maybe it's even healthy to because it also gets you going. That you have to pay some bills that you feel that I think it's nothing bad having that. So I take a few more luxury holidays. I'm really into design hotels. My little how do you say Spanish word come capricho. A little like it's little thing, where I love, as I said, with the houses and all of that. So I love sort of the architecture and exploring places and looking at designs and it's nothing I do, it's nothing I would ever do for work, but I really enjoy
Mm.
a well-designed space. I just love the feeling when you're in it. So I would probably spend a lot of money on that sort of stuff.
When you
Should
are
have,
in this kind
should have
of a
said I'm
space,
doing good. No, I should have said I'm starting some charity. I'm really sorry about that.
when you are at this kind of a space, what do you pay attention to?
I think it's a lot like also what I said with for me it's the whole day and it's the whole feeling of your day. And for me, if you're in a space, I think like a lot of people that work in design, I'm very much sort of receptive to that sort of to the good lighting, to the thing. But it's so many things. It's just, and I think the beauty of a good architecture is when all of these things And I'm not an architect, so I just really appreciate. For me, it's like a little piece of art when you go like sort of in a hotel, no? Or in a, it could be a museum, it could be a hotel. A lot of times hotels, funny enough, and it's just everything. And in that room, when you're switching on the light, and then you're opening something, and just the interior, like I just didn't think it's just a whole feeling. It's a bit like as if it was UX, you know, like just a
Yeah.
good usability. You go in there, you feel calm, the acoustics, the way it smells, it's just for me it's like a piece of art that you're standing inside of when it's good architecture.
I feel like that's exactly how you say that you love small details.
Yeah, probably.
Christine, I wish to have the sky's the limit, but time is the limit to our conversation. So the final question, what's one thing that you are really good at that no one knows that you are really good at?
I'm really good at it. Nobody even let me think about that a minute. I'm really good at. I wish I could say doing a handstand because I thought I'm really good at that, and then I wanted to show my kids, and then I cracked my back and had to go to physio. So that is not the case anymore. Getting older. I'm really good at. I'm pretty good at drawing, and I haven't done it for a very, very long time because I'm always at my computer.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Got it. And what is the best way to connect with you?
Best way if you want to follow me is currently on LinkedIn. And if you want to reach out, just send me an email.
Last but not least, name two people I should have this podcast conversation with.
Oh, one is my close friend Eva Lorenz, who's just starting an amazing business. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the name, but I'll tell you later. You should definitely reach out to her. And the second one, so what would it be? Someone that I find interesting in business. God, you should send me a list with those questions beforehand so I can prepare about them.
Doesn't work that way,
No,
some
it
people
doesn't
are,
work that
but it's
way.
okay. You can tell me, later. I'll
I
definitely.
will think of someone and I will send it to you.
Now, Christine, when we have the
Actually, I have one. I
first.
have one. But sorry, Molly Helmuth. She runs something similar to me, but she does it with a little bit of a different twist. And I always really, really admired her work. And I think she's a really, really great professional on how she set everything up.
Got it. Got it. Thank you so much. First time we met like a long time ago during the Freelance Drive and Freelance Sucks podcast. I felt that we a little bit clicked at this moment, but the more I'm talking to you, the more I understand that, yeah, I know why, and we didn't even have a glass of wine, which is great. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to get to know you just, just, just a little bit better. And thank you so much for this open and honest conversation.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, see you in the business world.